Welcome back to another episode of Gumball Love. I'm your host, Melissa Roberts. I have to think about that. It's only my second time of saying Melissa Roberts. Guys, I'm officially married, and I hadn't really gotten a chance to talk to you guys about it because the podcast with Christina LaCure released last week, and you guys, I'm so excited for you to hear that podcast, and you can hear me on her podcast as well. So make sure to check that out. We'll be posting links to that podcast as well. So I've spent years talking about finding love, finding a relationship, finding the husband, and my coach and I have helped me, she's helped me quantify what we're trying to do with Gumball Love. And she said, you know, Melissa, it's finding a husband to build a legacy. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's exactly what my ideal client is and what she's searching for and what I want to help her find. I want to help you find a guy that you can build a legacy. And as I have seen this with my own eyes, because I have to admit, I would look at other couples, I would look at other people and think there's no way I will find this. I have sat at this microphone and delivered podcasts thinking there is no way that some guy is going to deal with some girl talking about relationships and attention addiction and bad guys and red flags, and who is going to deal with that? I just couldn't imagine. And no offense to guys I've dated, but I would go out with guys and be like, these guys are not, some of them were just too dumb. I'm just going to be myself. Some of them were just, I was like, this guy is just not smart enough to get it, or he's too insecure. And I would feel like I know I'm not super smart. I'm smart in some areas, but Ian is extremely intelligent. He's so much more, he just has knowledge in so many different areas where I'm more focused in certain areas where I have a lot of knowledge. But he would say, no, that's not true. You are intellectual, because that was a huge area that we bonded on also. We were able to communicate. We were able to have so much more of an intellectual connection than I've ever been able to have. And actually, when I've talked about when I met Ian and I had the butterflies and I had the out-of-body experience, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have really found somebody that is so different. It was a lot because of his brain. And I could communicate in a way that I felt so liberated. And I had not felt that before. And I wish I could go back and tell my younger self, stop dating guys where you feel like you have to dumb yourself down, or where they're giving you a face that makes you feel like they're like looking at you like, really? Or if you use a big word, or they're calling you fancy, or they're calling you bougie. All those things mean is I'm too insecure about myself, and anything you're doing is making me feel less than I want to feel. So I need you to be less so I can feel better about myself. That's it. That's all. It's all it was. Yet it would make me doubt myself. It would make me think maybe I'm too much, because I've said this to you guys before, but when I've explained this to Ian before, I don't know, it was a few months ago, and I was just telling him what this is like. He was like, okay, so basically with these guys, it feels like you're not enough and you're too much at the same time. And I think I even did a podcast with that title, Not Enough and Too Much. And it's like, I was like, yes, that's exactly what it is. You feel like I'm too smart, or I'm too intellectual, or I'm too business minded, or maybe you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is, you feel like this guy can't handle it. And so then you're like, okay, well, maybe I am being too much. Maybe I need to scale it back. And then there are people that say smarter women. My dad would say it. My therapist even said it. The smarter you are, the harder it is to find a man. Well, harder, why? It's harder when you keep trying with the wrong guy. And it took me so long to figure that out. And this is what I come here to do every single day. So by the way, I'm making this officially announced that I am doing Gumball Love full time. Wish I could do some kind of a sound effect of yay and cheers and light the fireworks and uncork the champagne, because I've been working to get to this point for a long time. I hired my coach, Sarah J. Lorero. Let me just shout her name from the mountaintops, because she really taught me how to structure my content, how to find the customers I'm looking for, and really work with the women that inspire me and the ones I can really make a difference with. So if you're listening to this right now, I can make a difference for you if you can sit where you are right now and say, Melissa, I believe that if I was presented the right guy, I feel like I could have a great relationship. Because I used to think this. I would think I am so loving and nurturing and I'm a great girlfriend. I remember thinking this, like, I have so much to give. I'm an overgiver. I was a people pleaser. But one of my friends told me, she's like, Melissa, I just feel like if you were appreciated, just even appreciated for what you have, what you're giving, even if the guy didn't give the same in return, you would be so much happier. Because she was seeing me in a time where I was so frustrated with a relationship, and she was just kind of looking at me like, you have so much to give, and if you just had somebody who appreciated it, you'd be good to go. Which is so true. I mean, just being appreciated, I realize, makes such a difference. I mean, Ian appreciates even the tiniest small things that I do. And from, we're out here on this island in the middle of Canada, which, by the way, people are like, are you ever leaving your honeymoon location? So Ian's family, I guess I'm part of the family, we own this whole estate. It's been in their family for 150 years. And so there's a house and then there's an island, a house on the island. So we're in this little cottage. And so we don't have a dishwasher. So we're washing the dishes, a little bit of roughing it out here. It's not fully modernized yet, but I love that it's not. I love being out in nature. I love just everything about it, and getting a chance to just put your feet in the water, go swimming, I love a forest. I love a lake. It's pretty much my dreamy combination. And when I reconnected with Ian, I learned that this has actually been turned into a tree farm, and Ian has been planting literally thousands of trees every year. And so we're up here nurturing the tree farm, and he's doing all the pruning, and they're surveying the land and doing drone footage and really looking at all of the trees and taking care of this really beautiful property that's been in his family for a long time. And so that's why we're spending so much time up here. And I said, well, we got to have internet. So that was one of the things that wasn't here. So we installed high-speed internet so I can work from here. And it is absolutely wonderful. So there's things we have to do as a team, and, doing laundry, we have to do that on the mainland versus on the island. And so we're constantly tag teaming with household things and working and doing our calls. And I'm doing coaching calls and Zoom calls and podcasts and creating content and recording videos. And we're making it all work because I realized how great of a team you have to be. And what kind of a person, what does it look like right from the beginning? Because I have to admit, it seemed so far-fetched. Like this kind of a relationship, I just would have been like, if someone would have told me this kind of stuff happens, I've looked at people like, I don't know, like Marie Forleo comes to mind, or if I can just, Jasmine Star. Jasmine Star has a great husband. And I would see these women with these incredible supportive husbands and really powerful, successful women. And it was like, how do they do it? Because if you come from the old school thinking that I came from, that you have to make sure that you make the man feel like he's the big guy, and you make him feel like the man. So don't be too much, but make sure you're enough. Going back to that, I just had that playing in my head so much that it would have been years ago, it would have been really hard for me to understand that this is possible. So I just want to encourage you and also inspire you that this is not only possible, but it's out there everywhere. You just have to know where to look, and you also have to know when to cut it loose, because I am here to help you with all of the red flags and make sure that you're not getting stuck in this. But I want this to be so ingrained in your head that you're like, you can be with a guy and be like, oh, there it is. I'm seeing the behavior. I don't want to see it. Oh, there it is again. There. Okay, this guy's not it. I'm going to move on. But this is what I teach you in coaching, that everybody loves attention. We all do. It makes us feel good. We need it for survival. You have to have the attention from the other people socially. However, in my research recently, I found a great word to describe this. There's functional, and then there's dysfunctional. And there's more to it. I'll get to that in another podcast. But there's an amount of attention that we all love, need, and is normal for functional everyday life. But it crosses a line when it becomes an addiction, or it becomes more of a need than being in a relationship with the other person. And being able to identify that quickly will save you years. So if you're sitting there and you're like, Melissa, it's great that you got married and I'm glad you found a guy, but I'm never going to find that. You're probably not my ideal customer, actually. If you've already given up, really, and you think that there's no way, and you've already just decided that's going to be your reality, then I'm going to call you a liar because you're listening to this podcast. I was just thinking, like, who would be listening to this podcast if they actually really had given up? Maybe lovely, incredible, supportive women that truly have given up, but are just such loves that they support me. I think I have a few of those out there that are really probably feel like they have given up, but they are such incredible people that they just show up to support me. If you're one of those people, I love you so much. However, I still want you to not give up, because I really think that no matter how young you are, how old you are, I don't care if you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, there's single people everywhere. And they're really good people. You just have to know how to look for them. It's kind of like, this is going to be such a stupid example, but you know, when you didn't know when an avocado was ripe or when it was at that perfect stage, maybe you don't. But when you know how to shop for avocados, all you have to do is pick it up and you're like, you know, if you can eat that avocado today or if you can eat it in a few days. So when I shop for avocados, I'm like, okay, I space it out. We maybe want one or two for today, or one for today and one for tomorrow, but then I'm not going to buy all of those because I want it to be ready for dinner in 2 and 3 days. So I buy the ones that are not as ripe, and then they ripen on the counter, right? So I know exactly how to shop for an avocado. It's just like that when you're looking for the right person, how to find your avocado. No, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just, if you know what to look for, all of a sudden there's this hugely empowering feeling that comes over you because you're like, I know what it looks like. And maybe you'll go a period of time where you won't see it, but you'll also know you're not missing out. And isn't that amazing? You'll know, like, someone might say, oh, did you meet so-and-so? And you meet him and they're like, oh, wasn't he great? And you'll be thinking inside, no, he wasn't that great. You think he's great because you can't see the red flags, but I can. And most of the time, an attention-seeking person, especially an attention addict, the signs are glaringly obvious. And for some, they are a little more subtle. So that's why I've created the quiz that's coming out. If you want exclusive access to it, reach out to me, melissa@gumballlove.com. I'll give you, in fact, right now, if you want to take the quiz, just offering this right off the top of my head, never didn't think I was going to. If you want to take the quiz in the beta version right now for free, I will let you do it, and I'll give you a free 30-minute coaching call after, and we'll look at your guy. And if it's an ex, people think this guy needs to be current. He doesn't. When I first created the quiz, I took the quiz on a guy that I had dated last time we broke up. It was 2008. And I had a major aha moment from a guy from 2008. And Ian helped me create the quiz, which is also like, hello, miracles happening. Didn't even think a guy would deal with a girl doing Gumball Love. Second, would he help me with a quiz? And 3, be so impressed by the content. He's told me this a few times. He was like, babe, this content is literally groundbreaking shit. That's what he said. He's like, this is really good stuff. He goes, if I thought this was stupid, I'd be like, maybe you should pursue something else. He's like, but this is so good because it's changed how I look at other relationships, his past romantic relationships, but mostly his non-romantic friends, family members, dynamics that were mysterious. So this goes way beyond your exes or your current romantic relationship. I took a big risk and did the quiz on non-romantic relationships. And I would love it for any of you that take it. Because what I'm going to offer, I'm saying I'm offering it because we're working on it behind the scenes. So you can go on and you can take it one time and just get your result, or you can subscribe as a member and then have access to it unlimited. So you can take the quiz over and over about different people. So you can see if it's a parent, if it's somebody at church, if it's a friend that you're like, what's going on with this person? Like, why do I feel like they are my friend, but then sometimes they're not? And I'm trying to understand where the red flags are. I will admit, even as the creator of Gumball Love, there are relationships where you do not want to see this. And I am guilty of it, where Ian's pointed a couple of them out and I'm like, oh my God, you're so right. And I never wanted to see that. I had them in the innocent category, like this person is innocent and can do no wrong. And then I had to kind of come to terms with it. And there's a process, and I'm here to help you with that process. I've been through it. Ian's been through it. We're here to help you. This is a community. Nobody knows everything, but we're here for the mess, because I tell all my clients, I'm the person you bring the mess to. I'm the person that when you're like, she's going to think I'm so stupid when I tell her this. In fact, my last client, she was just like, oh my God, as I'm explaining this, I'm just like, this happens to me a lot. And I always want to just like yell to her, oh my gosh, no. The messier it is, the more excited I get, because this is what I do. So if you've got a huge mess going on and you're like, oh my God, I've had all these toxic fights and I'm super immature texting him back and forth and I'm in all these dumb arguments and I don't know how to get myself out and I'm stalking him on social media and I'm driving by his house. Guess what? You're not alone. There's a whole bunch of people doing it, but there's a reason we're doing it. So if you're like, I'm doing this, but I don't want to do it and I really want to feel normal and I'm tired of feeling judged by married people and people with kids, and you feel like such an outsider of that world and you feel like you're some kind of a mutant. I did too. Look, I'm 45 years old. I just got married. I've been that outsider probably since I was, 25 on, 20 years of people getting married, people having kids. And when it got really bad is when one of my friends' kids had a kid or they got married. It's like, oh my God, I remember when you were a little kid and now you're getting married before me. That was like, oh my God, what is going on? I mean, I would think, oh my God, when I saw that kid as a baby, I never thought, oh, she's going to get married before me. Like, I would have never imagined that. Thank God I didn't know that. But I just kept doing it wrong over and over again. It wasn't that I couldn't have met someone. I just didn't understand why I was repeating a pattern. That's it. There wasn't a bunch of stuff wrong with me. There's not a bunch of stuff wrong with you. Anything wrong with us, we can fix. Any pattern, if I can get you to see the pattern, it's so hard to repeat a bad pattern once you see it. You know what I mean? You've done it before. We were like, oh no, I see myself doing this and it's so gross. And then it's just like, it's impossible to just keep doing it because you know what you're doing and now it's different. Just like Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So what I will do is change a hot guy into a gumball guy because you won't be able to see, he won't be able to turn you on. He won't be able to give you the butterflies anymore. You'll be like, oh, the old me thought would think he's so cute. But now I'm like, oh, you're so immature. You're a child. And that's exactly what happened to me. The gumball guy that I thought was so amazing and so delicious, and he looked like Robert Pattinson and all the things, the guy from 2008. And after developing this concept, I was like, I can't. In fact, I think it was 2016, we talked for a little while and he was like, why shouldn't we get back together? Because every time we would talk, we would think we were hitting it off again. And I literally said this. I said, well, we can't date because you get bored and you don't know why you get bored. And then I start to feel boring, even though it's really you that has nothing to do but focus on me and the high of our relationship. And so once that wears off, you don't know what to do with yourself. And this was a really smart guy, by the way, so I could say it to him in this exact way. And I was like, and you don't know why you're getting bored. And so then our relationship goes stale because you don't really know how to be intimate and have true intimacy, connection, friendship. You're looking for the high, you're looking for the excitement that I can't maintain. So long story short, I can't be exciting enough for you long term because you rely on me to keep it exciting. And he just paused for a while and he goes, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, no fight. It was just so much. He had enough intellectual horsepower to know I was right, but also not enough to do what it takes to change it. Or maybe the capacity or ability, or I don't know. I don't know in his mind what he really had the capability to do based on his own issues, which is a whole other podcast I'm not going to do. But I just want to put that out there, is that I was pursuing things and putting in amazing effort and being a great girlfriend. I was just pouring it into the wrong people. And that is the big shift that I want to change for you. So I meant to talk about my wedding, but I don't know. I have this block. Can I just share with you? I just have this block about talking about weddings, only because it would depress me when other people would talk about their weddings, because I would feel sad. And I just remember feeling sad. And I don't want to make you sad, because yes, it's wonderful, but it's only wonderful when you have all of this figured out. So I'm more inspired to tell you how to figure it out. So when you're standing there and you're getting like, you'll get these feelings like of, oh my God, I'm getting married. I'm getting married. Like I will have to get a divorce. I can't just break up with them. I have to get a divorce. Like you just think these weird thoughts and you're like, but I don't want to get divorced. I don't want to break up with them. And then you have the other scary thoughts like, oh my God, what if they get in a car accident? What if I lost them? What if I waited all this time and then he was gone? Like, what would I do? You have these horrible, catastrophic thoughts in your mind. And then you're like, okay, I can't think about those because people live their whole lives with their husbands and they have 50-year anniversaries. So I need to stop thinking of that. You'll have all these thoughts of the extremes of I'm getting married, I'm committing myself. However, I also thought about that and thought, this is a huge deal. And if you're not with somebody that's really grounded, they know what they want, they know that you are what they need. You know that they are what you need. And even when they're annoying the crap out of you, which also happens where you're PMSing and they're doing something annoying and you get in a stupid argument about something. And then you're like, what was that argument about? But in the moment, it feels like really key. And you're like, oh my gosh, can I be married to this person? I mean, you're going to have the whole gamut happens to you. And so if you don't have a strong enough root system, that kind of stuff can uproot you. You've got to be able to know who you are. They have to know who they are so that you can be a team. One person cannot be helping the other person along when it comes to being committed or knowing what they want in the relationship. If the other person does not know what they want, or they're wishy-washy, or they're afraid of commitment, that is a deal breaker. And going through getting married, just, I'm still in my honeymoon location. I'm like a newbie, but I'm not a newbie at relationships. And I have studied this more than anybody I know, other than, more experts like the Gottmans or whatever. But I've studied their work, and I had a very non-idealistic view. I went into it knowing that it's not going to be a fairy tale. It's not going to be a high. It's not going to be overly romantic 24/7. It's going to be, basically, I knew it's going to be what it always was before. We'll just be married because we have our friendship, we have our love, we have our connection, and we know each other, we love each other, and that's exactly what it is. So when people say, oh, you'll have the blues after your wedding, I kept reading articles about this and it's bugged me. It was like, well, will I have the blues after the wedding? And I thought, it's fun planning the wedding and it's this big high and people come into town and all those things. So yes, but I remember thinking, I don't think this is going to happen to me. I don't feel like I'm going to miss the wedding part so much. And I don't. I'm totally good. I remember thinking there's a part of me that loves this wedding and the dress. I did love my dress. Oh my gosh, my dress was so fun to wear. You've got to love your dress. And, get whatever dress you want. But these girls with these boring wedding dresses, like, come on, don't get a dress where I'm like, is it an evening gown or a dress? Like, make sure people know you're a damn bride. I don't know. Like, I just thought, if this is my one day to look like a princess, like, why wouldn't I just go all out? And it wasn't more expensive either. Some of the dresses that were less princess like were, more expensive. Anyway, that's just my own opinion, but I just feel like you have one day to be a bride, and some of the brides are just like, okay, I don't even know if you're a bridesmaid. So anyway, I really enjoyed my dress, and I made sure that I had all the dancing and I had a big band, and that people were enjoying themselves. And someone came up to me and said, this is the best wedding I've ever been to. And I was like, really? And he goes, just look at their faces. Look at the faces of people. Look how much joy this is bringing. So think about that too. How can I make my wedding day bring joy to other people? Don't make them wait to eat as well. So it was a huge thing for me. You come to my wedding. It was under an hour. The receiving line was maybe 10 to 15 minutes max. Everyone came out into the steps. They threw the rose petals, went to the reception hall. Bam, you had drinks and food in hand. No waiting. Music was already playing. It was like we were ready to go. So that was, a huge part of the happiness factor, I'm sure. Don't starve your guests. But anyway, the point of this is yes, there was so much fun. I'm trying not to skip over details because people are like, Melissa, tell us about your wedding. But again, I really have a hard time doing it. So I'm forcing myself through it only because there's the Melissa that was getting married. And then there's the Melissa I'm thinking about you guys. And I'm thinking like, wow, it is a blur. And people say, really try to be present. It's too hard. You're taking in too much. You're like, I'm getting married. All my people are here. I haven't seen this person. I haven't seen that person. You're talking to people. You're hugging people. You're looking around. I did not even see my hors d'oeuvres. I had to ask, did the hors d'oeuvres come out? And they were like, oh yeah. They were like everywhere with hors d'oeuvres. Didn't see one person. Never saw my s'mores bar. I saw one kid holding s'mores and I was like, oh good. Somebody got s'mores. That's how like whimsical and I was just in such a euphoria because everybody, and I think too, post pandemic and getting everybody together, that was also something we didn't know if we could pull that off. And we had Ian's in-laws are in the UK and here in Canada, his dad lives here on this estate that I'm broadcasting from right now. And so, we didn't know if people would be able to make it and make it safely. That was another thing, like, let's get them there safely. Let's get everybody home safely. And people had health issues. I mean, it was a lot to make sure everything happened the way it did. But I knew that I wanted white roses. Those are my favorite roses. So I had white roses and very light blush pink roses. My colors overall were champagne and gold. So my bridesmaids dresses were gold and I just wanted a buttery glow. So the venue we had was called Bellaterre. If you want to look it up, it's in Glenwood, Iowa. Some people were confused on the wedding invitation. They were like, wait, is your wedding in Iowa or Nebraska? I'm like, well, the wedding's in Nebraska. The reception's in Iowa and they're right on the border. People are like, did you make a mistake? I did not. So if you want to look up Bellaterre, it is amazing. It is my uncle's brother is a world-renowned photographer. His headquarters is in Glenwood, Iowa, and he built Bellaterre to showcase his artwork and host events. And so it is their event and their creation to bring Italy to Iowa. So up in the bluffs of Iowa, all the rolling farmland, it looks very much like Tuscany, and they have a vineyard there. And I just knew when I saw that place for the first time, I was like, I want to have my wedding reception there. So when I took Ian there, we secretly went in December of 2021. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take you to this place. And I wanted to see what he thought, and he fell in love with it right away. So that's where we decided to have our reception. So we got ready there in the morning, did a first look at around 11:11. We did our first look moment, and then we took pictures there, and then we took pictures of the church before the wedding, which is a little hectic. I didn't have him seeing me for the first time coming down the aisle, but it did serve our guests really well. So they were able to just get out of there right after the wedding and go right to the reception. And it gave us more time with our guests, which I'm so thankful for because it was such a surreal experience that the more time you have to be with your people, the better, and the less time you're pulled away from all of your guests. Like every time we were taking pictures by ourselves, I was like, I told the photographer we were taking pictures outside, and I was like, I have to go. I could hear the big band playing. I knew people were dancing. I was like, I don't want to be out here. I want to be inside. I want to be at my own reception. So, I don't know how you do it all. I'm not the expert, but those were just the feelings that were running through my mind. And, at your wedding reception, the person you might see the least is your actual husband because you're just around all the people that love you and you are so happy to see everyone. And so it's just such a surreal experience. So my biggest wedding tip is actually have events prior to your wedding, which might seem like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? But we had a bunch of people over to our house on Thursday, which was amazing. Thursday all day into the evening, people were flying in. And so we got to hang out, go to dinner. We had food catered at our house first, and then we went to dinner Thursday night. And then Friday during the day, Ian had an amazing day with the guys. They went and picked up their tuxes and got all that organized. Then we went out to dinner on Friday night. And then Saturday, I got ready super early. We were there at 7 a.m. doing hair and makeup, but it was a super long day. But I'm telling you, I wouldn't do it any differently because I wanted all that time. And then even on Sunday, we had brunch with a couple of people. I got to have brunch with my Russian son, my dance teacher / now family. He's been family forever. And he was like, oh my gosh, how do all these people know me? I'm like, because ballroom dancing was so important to me. You are my family. I wanted my family to know you. I wanted them to see you dancing. So he came and danced. And that was such a heartwarming experience too. So fill your wedding with events where you get to really spend time with people that love you. So that's my biggest tip for those of you that are, and I want you to think about this too. I kind of wish I would have spent a little more time thinking about what I wanted at my wedding, because I didn't really think about this stuff a lot before. I was like, oh, I'll think about that when I'm getting married, which is fine either way too. But it's a lot of decisions. And so if this is inspiring to you, then create a little vision board about it. What do you want your wedding to look like? What do you want your flowers to look like? What do you want your bouquet to look like? Because I really believe that if you expect, and this is also, I'm reading Ed Milet's book, The Power of One More, and it's really a very back to basics. How do I want to organize my life? How do I want to set goals? How should I be thinking? Where should my mentality go? What should my habits be? Sometimes I was thinking like, gosh, this seems a little bit, basic. But then I thought, you know what? This is what I need right now. Back to basics. I'm starting a new lifestyle. I'm doing Gumball Love full time. My whole day is going to be different. And so I want to kind of go back to basics and reorganize how I'm thinking about goals. And one of the things is about expectations. And if you expect to have success in a certain area, you expect to find something, then your brain just naturally starts looking for it. Just like when you buy a new car and you're like, I used to have a white Jeep Wrangler. And if you've ever been a Jeep owner, you drive, this is the one thing I miss about being a Jeep owner. Every Jeep owner gives a peace sign or a wave to the other Jeep. Complete strangers on the road. It's the coolest thing. It's like Jeeps are like, what's up? Such a cool thing. So there's this bond. So then all of a sudden, your reticular activating system in your brain is now trained to look for Jeeps. And they're everywhere. So tons of people have used this example. But when you're a Jeep owner, you really are focused on it because you want to make sure you don't blow anybody up. My mom has a Jeep right now, and she's like, super unaware when she's driving. And I'm like, Mom, are you waving at all the Jeep people? And she's like, yes, I am. But I know she's like missing them because I'm very similar to her where we're always in our head and thinking about stuff. And so, but you need to be thinking about where are the Jeeps? And all of a sudden you get a Jeep and they are everywhere. Jeeps are thousands. You're like, oh my God, I thought this was going to be a rare occurrence and now they're everywhere. Because now you're trained to see them. And so this is the same way it goes, where if you expect, you're like, now I'm on the road. I expect that there are going to be Jeeps out here and I expect to look for them and I'm going to find them. If you approach dating and relationships in the same way, I'm going to find them. I expect it and it is there for me. It's only a matter of when, and I just have to be thinking about it. I have to be focused on it and I have to expect it. You will find it. There is somebody out there for you. I think there are lots of people that would be compatible with you. They might be very different from one to the other. I don't know that a lot of them would be exactly the same. I think we could be compatible with a lot of different types of people if the other things are aligned. So what I help you do in coaching is I help you understand what needs to be aligned with the right person so that you know, although this person is nice, we don't align in the right areas. Therefore, it's not going to work long term. It needs to work so well that you could be like me on an island with no dishwasher and the bathroom is detached from the house. And so there's a lot of, we're roughing it a little bit out here. Not too bad. It's not too shabby out here. It's absolutely beautiful. But, I thought, wow, this is a good test to our relationship where we're in close quarters in our other house. I could be on the top level. He could be 2 floors below me. And on phone calls, we couldn't even hear each other. When we worked all day, we were separate. But on our honeymoon for these 2 months, we're really in tight quarters. We're seeing each other a lot. And are we getting sick of each other? Are we running out of things to talk about? No. We are able to sit next to each other. One of the things I wanted was to be able to read next to somebody and not have them interrupt me while I'm reading. And I did it again this morning. It's just like I have my Ed Milet book. I'm sitting out there in the hammock reading by the lake, and Ian is reading on his own, and we're able to sit and talk. And then at one point we talked about dopamine, and I was looking at dopamine addiction differently this morning, reading a book. Like the lifestyle, you need to think about, what is the lifestyle that I have? What is it that I need? And this actually gets you closer to finding the right person versus further away. I used to be so afraid to do this because I thought there were restrictions. I thought there were too many needs and wants, and it was going to make this an impossible person to find. But the exact opposite is true. So I'd love to help you with this. I'd love to give you the idea of, or the perspective of what it's like to have the ideal relationship, how to get there from where you are now. If you feel like, Melissa, if you could see the mess I'm in, I don't know if I can get there, but if there's a part of you that's like, if I knew what to do, I could get there. I know I have a lot to offer someone. I know how loving I am. I know what I would do in the right relationship. That's all I need. And you trust that I've done this millions of times. I know exactly what you need when you need it. And you just have to trust the process. So right now I'm taking on new clients. I have a little more space in my schedule now that it's full time, although it is filling up. So I would love to do a call with you. Let's just do a call and see if we're a fit. And I can explain to you, here's what it is. Here's what we offer. This is what it looks like. In a nutshell, you and I work together. People are like, what is this like, Melissa? I mean, what am I going to be doing here? So if you're interested, stay tuned for this part. Okay. So what it's like is we meet on Zoom first, and we sit, and don't feel weirded out just because I do a podcast. I'm just a regular person. And if you're like, I'm too freaked out to be on video, you do not have to be on video. I do not mind doing audio only. So if you're audio only, then I usually go audio only, and that way I can sit and listen versus feeling like I have to talk into the camera. But most of the time we do face-to-face. Okay. And as we are talking about, so if we session 1, I have you take, actually before this first session, I have you take the assessment on your guy, whether he's current or in the past. And we look at those results in the first session or 2. And initially we lay out, like, where are you now? Where do you want to be? And then we lay out a plan. Okay. Sometimes the plan isn't as obvious because what you're going through, some people have kind of like a 4-alarm fire going on. They're like, I just broke off my engagement. I'm going through the thick of a breakup. And so the strategy and longer term plan comes in maybe the second half. So I usually do 10 1-hour one-to-one sessions. And so it's just you and me for that part. But what I also like to do is introduce you to my group coaching community, because a lot of us feel like we're by ourselves. And the one thing my group always tells me is being in the group has helped me feel like I'm not alone and that I'm part of women that get me. And that also, I know you might feel like you're in a huge mess. They felt like that too. Some people are still in the mess. Some people are a little further through it, and everybody's in their own stage. So just know that you'll be joining a group of women where you'll be like, okay, maybe I can even help this person, or I can be a friend, or you can meet somebody and you can talk to them offline. This is one of my favorite things that starts to happen, where I start to see and that my girls are talking to each other offline. This is not a clique. My girls are absolutely girls. There is nobody excluding somebody else. None of that's going on. It's all very welcoming. Everybody, it understands what you're going through, and it is judgment free. Trust me. So everybody has got their own little hot mess express going on. And that's what I love. Everyone kind of bonds over it, and somebody comes in and they're like, well, this is what's going on. Everyone's like, yep, been through that. And so then you immediately start to feel that release of like, okay, I don't feel like a weirdo. I don't feel like the outcast. Other people have gone through this. And also what's happening too is other women are finding relationships. In fact, the girls that are finding relationships have now inspired me to get another group going, that you kind of move from girls that are single, going through breakups. And then when you find your new relationship, I want to support you there too. So we're going to start another call, probably on Tuesday nights, that focuses just on the women that are in new relationships and working through those dynamics. Hey, I'm falling in love and this is new and this is actually a good guy. And now what do I do? Because that's a whole new world. And so that's an exciting part that we're adding on to the Level Up for Love coaching series and group coaching series. So I would love to meet you, see if this is a fit for you. And girl, how much longer are you going to wait? You've been listening to this podcast. You know me, I'm the real deal. This works. If you want to talk to any of my former clients and ask them what the process is like, let me know. And I'm actually going to be interviewing former clients in my private Facebook group. So we will have interviews starting all of September and October. So make sure you've joined the private Facebook group as well to check that out. All right, I could go on and on for days because this is my passion. This is what I love to do. So wherever you are, I want to help you. Reach out to me, let me know, and we'll figure out a plan for you, because I want you to find love. I don't want you to give up. I know how much you have to give. And I know if just given the right tools and the right perspective, everything shifts, everything changes. And right now, if you look in the private Facebook group, my client Lauren did an interview. And Lauren she felt like she was a mess, right? She felt like she was never going to find love. She felt like, Melissa, I just need to take a break. And she was going through a breakup, and it was just this whole thing. But I could see, and I say this in this interview, the woman that's on the interview, she's poised, she's confident, she's sitting there, and you would think, well, this girl, there's no way this girl could have felt like a mess. Look at her. But that's the thing where I have a gift. I could see that Lauren from the first day. She didn't feel like she looked like that, but I could just tell who she was underneath just a few layers of hurt, self-doubt, and pain from grieving her father. There were all kinds of things going on, but I could see the bright, beautiful, smart, funny, just loving person that she is. And we just needed to do a little bit of work, get a little bit of perspective shift, some healing and some direction. And it was just a matter of time. And then when her boyfriend came into her life, she was able to look at him differently and be able to have a different level of confidence, knowing this guy is different. And when you meet someone, it's going to feel different. It's going to feel like, this isn't what I'm used to. The real love is different than what you've known. And I want to be able to make sure you're ready for that so you can enjoy it. You don't freak out. You don't sabotage it. And you're able to work through any of those fears that you have. And I'm here for you in that piece too. Because once you find love, then we shift into a different mode. and to help you gradually just, drift into that beautiful, loving space. And then eventually you and I won't have any work left to do, and you'll just be enjoying your relationship, and you'll be coming back in and doing interviews and helping other women do the journey that you did, help them get from where you were to where you are. And so that's the goal, and that's what's happening. And I'll tell you, this assessment that we've created, the ability to see the patterns and get more specific for those of you that have followed Gumball Love for a long time. This was harder. It was so hard for me to get to this point as fast as we are now. So it couldn't be a better time for you to utilize these tools and get the benefits for yourself. This is so exciting. I mean, I'm just like, I can help you stop the cycle of your bad relationships, discover your worth, know what you're bringing to the table, and not just like, oh, I love myself and blah, 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 but like really know, man, this is who I am. This is my value. This is what I bring to the table. And I can walk confidently in that and feel really good about it and know that when I'm with somebody, they also see that value. That's a huge step that I cannot wait for you to experience. So there's so much more to it. So just send me a message, melissa@gumballlove.com, or you can DM me on Instagram or Facebook or join the private community. Shout me out anywhere you can find me, and let's begin the process. Or you can just go right to my Instagram bio or to my website, gumballllove.com, and just click on Work with Melissa or book. There's a place that says book, or if you just go to the Instagram bio, the link in the bio, there's a place right there, book a free 30-minute call. That's all you got to do. And I want you to know, I'm not going to try to talk you into anything. I'll tell you how it works. We'll go into detail, and it's up to you because you got to be ready, right? But if you are, it's so exciting and so fun, and love awaits. Like, I just know you will find love, and it's just a matter of time. But you're not going to go through heartbreaks to find it. And that's the beauty. You stick with me, girl, you will not be getting heartbroken, because I do know how to help you avoid all of those guys that are full of bad patterns, and have even developed an online assessment as a foolproof way to make sure. That's really the inspiration of this whole thing. How can I go on dates, and how can I do this without getting hurt? I mean, I'll be honest with you, that was what started this whole thing. Like, how can I create a system that I can date without falling for a guy and getting my feelings hurt? Done. 15 years later from the very beginning. But those were my first ideas, and the Gumball Love concept helped me, but I had to refine that and really get it down. It's a labor of love, and I geek out about the research and everything that goes into it. But that's what you want in your coach. You want your coach to be obsessed about the content, about your process, about your journey. And that's what I do. In each session, I want to make sure, are you getting what you need? How can I support you? And I give you access to our private membership area too, so you can communicate with the other members. You can direct message me on a platform outside of social media. So we do it inside of an app where it's a private membership area. So you can be in a quieter space and not have the distraction of Facebook. But I do have a free private Facebook community, so feel free to join that. And I'm going to leave it there. So thank you so much. Until next time, my love, I'll see you soon. I can't wait to talk to you if you're going to book a call. So go do it right now. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.